City Skylines 2 had one of the most anticipated launches in city builder history, and it absolutely bombed right out of the gate. It was a sequel to a game that almost captured the magic of SimCity 4 and 3000, but it didn't quite make it. It arrived in October 2023 carrying enormous expectations, and because of this enormous technical debt that it launched with, it didn't really work out. There was crashes, missing features, a broken economy, and it honestly launched as a complete failure and was unplayable for months. Now, the thing that people are asking is whether or not it's still bad, because this isn't a complete story of failure. Underneath the failure really lies a solid game and a really good simulation. Better traffic AI, deeper infrastructure systems, enormous maps, way bigger than SimCity could ever manage. The question that players have been asking is not whether or not it's good, it's whether or not it's good yet. 2 years of patches, a new developer later, and the answer is we're almost there. Not quite, but we're almost there. For the uninitiated, Skylines 2 is a sandbox city building simulation where players will lay down infrastructure like roads or power plants. You'll zone land. You'll develop small townships into massive metropolis-sized cities. This is targeting fans of the original release as well as SimCity before its 2013 abysmal launch and disappointment. It's also targeting the other SimCity games before that were well received. Skylines 2 has a huge opportunity to target a large install base if they get it right. Being a sandbox city builder, there really isn't any story or narrative aspects for it, so it's all player defined. There are some influences like notifications the player will receive randomly during gameplay from like a social media like alert thing, but outside of that there really isn't anything resembling the old soul of the SimCity advisors. This is a huge misstep. I don't know why people don't copy this. The core gameplay loop involves what I call the 2080 rule. 20% of the time you'll be designing and laying down your infrastructure, and 80% of the time you'll watch it fail miserably because you made bad decisions. Oh wait, just me? Okay. It's satisfying to watch a city grow from humble beginnings to sprawling neighborhoods to eventually heaven-reaching skyscrapers. This also creates problems as it goes. I mean, you're going from single-family homes to townhomes to apartment buildings to these skyscrapers, and it's a massive influx of residents that rewards long-term or forward strategic thinking. I will say I really do like the idea of the combined zones they added with the commercial residential, but things like schools would be really cool if you could like zone on the roof for them or something. It looks kind of silly to have a skyscraper next to a 4-floor high school. That being said, I don't really know how they handle this in real life. Do they just bus kids and add it to the city? I actually don't know. The best part about Skylines 2 is the traffic simulation, one of the few standout features. It's clear that the ground-up rebuilt design that was implemented was a huge focus during their development. Vehicles will actually respond to things like traffic and congestion. They'll respond to road closures and seek different routes as if somebody would in, I don't know, real life? Unlike Skylines 1 or SimCity 4, where the cars would just despawn. Kinda lame. According to most, the economy system was completely broken at launch, with a patch release in 2024 to improve the system. Many others have commented positively about it, but to be completely honest, I never really had an issue. I'm only mentioning it because it was a huge point of contention that a lot of people talked about. I just always focused on the core fundamentals, and I was always profitable. Both before and after the patch, there's so many moving parts and levers that you could pull, I can't really tell why I'm profitable. I'm just making money, I guess. I don't know, maybe I'm just that good. Probably not. Newly added in Skylines 2 is a huge focus on freight and supply chain and supply demands. In previous games, freight was difficult to measure because you couldn't really see where it was going from or coming to. In Skylines 2, you could directly see all of that from where and when. And with that, management becomes much more intuitive as you can actually see a measurable difference. And it's important that you do this too, as freight causes a ridiculous amount of traffic on roads. Supply demands follow a relatively realistic path. Industry takes different types of materials that can be sourced locally or imported, and having each of them is important to having a strong industry, just like real life. And then in the end, commercial zones buy the materials that the industry produces. Next is the visuals, and I have to say Skylines 2 looks great even after the patch. At launch, most people agreed, myself included, that Skylines 2 is probably the best looking city builder ever made. The draw distance allows you to lay back and just take in all the effort of your design and see everything in one big frame. That being said, to address the performance we will talk about later, February this year, the new developer Ice Lake introduced an update to the visuals that overall was a downgrade in fidelity. Worse shadows, worse colors, worse lighting, all of this to try to improve the performance, but honestly, the game runs like ass. Now let's talk about the game running like ass. This is one of the worst parts of Skylines 2 and ultimately why I stopped playing it every time I try to, the performance. Let me start by addressing the elephant in the room. I fully understand that the pathfinding demand that this game has is enormous. Every car, every truck, every boat, every plane, every cat, every dog, every person has to calculate their pathfinding from where they're going and where they're coming from. But I have a 7800X 3D and a 4080 Super, thanks for asking, that places me in like almost near the top on the Steam hardware survey. Top 2% for graphics cards, 5% for CPUs, and once I hit around 250,000 citizens, the game just shuts down. Demand goes away entirely. The simulation speed drops from the 4x of the 3 arrow speed all the way down to like less than the 1x speed would do. Which, for how much time needs to pass for things to happen in this game, it's just too slow. It takes hours to progress at that point. On some of the saves where I didn't handle exterior city connections well enough at about 300 to 400,000 citizens, the simulation just straight up wouldn't load. They would just rubber band in place and it would never catch up. This is completely unacceptable for performance, and I genuinely don't understand how people get over 1 million people. The closest I've ever gotten is 750,000. Are they just patient and letting their computers run for days on end? I don't know. Hell, even Linus Tech Tips did a video recently where they ran a Threadripper Pro and it couldn't really run a 1 million person city full speed. And that city was designed better than 99% of players could even remotely manage. It's not even a frame rate issue. Yeah, the FPS is really slow, but the simulation engine just shuts down because there aren't any CPU resources left. They said that it was going to use 100% of available resources, and it does. But even on that Threadripper Pro, it still couldn't keep up, and it was using most of it. That's a $10,000 CPU. Get real.
Okay, the game is completely paused. We've got 570,000 people. We're going to unpause it. Then we're going to hit 3 just to confirm that it's at the max speed. Like, yeah, I know I didn't do a very good job of doing transit on this save, but the game is running at like, I think we're in the seconds per frame territory here. Like yeah, not the best, but not the worst, but it's using all the CPU cores available. But like, that's just bad coding. Like, I'm sorry, but like, got a better computer than the vast majority of people on Steam.
Moving on to audio and music, and honestly, these are both pretty good. The ambient city noises, the hum of industry, it's relatively exceptional and fits the city theme really well. I like the radio choices as well. The soundtrack they picked, I'm assuming, are real artists, but it seems to be bespoke tracks specifically for this game. But the radio hosts that come in between the tracks are a little off sometimes. The one dude sounds like Kevin Harlan from the NFL and NBA.
That's right, Glenda. But apparently that's not all good news. We're joined today by an expert guest, Professor Nutbutter.
Hey, somebody has run out on the field. Some goofball in a hat and a red shirt. Now he takes off the shirt. He's running down the middle by the 50.
And we're getting reports about a traffic accident somewhere in the city.
Road maintenance services have already been dispatched and traffic flow should return to normal. But if you're planning a quick trip out, you might want to wait a little while until everything clears up.
If you're in it.
But the audio mixing is also really bad. I'm no sound engineer, but the pacing is wrong. It's like they almost cut one another off when they go to talk. This is probably because they are not recorded in the same room. I bet they were probably working from home because this game was developed during COVID, and they just, the conversation doesn't flow correctly when you're not sitting in front of the person, and then there's latency and stuff like that. The radio hosts will also report on stuff that just isn't true. They'll talk about commercial zones being completely shut down, but it's like one building went out of business, and that's because the owner's an idiot. It's not my fault. I'm just the mayor. Skylines 2 is $50, and honestly, for a start point, that's not bad. What's Nintendo now? $80? $79.99? At what point early on they introduced the DLC pack and immediately got roasted for it, so they ended up making that for free, or at least mostly free. Now there's tons of DLC available, which honestly is kind of a slap in the face to the original fans and the people who bought this game early, because the game is pretty light on content, and a lot of the content that they're selling as DLC was DLC in the first game, and they want you to buy it again. Very cool. DLC I think is fine, but it has to come as an extension in the original game, and the original game has to be kind of done. But in this case, it kind of feels like they're nickel and diming you, and it's just content that just should have been there from the start. If the issue's money, why don't you just charge $70 at the start? Everyone else is doing that. Do it at the start, don't do it after. Don't nickel and dime me. Replayability is a huge selling point to Skylines 2. There's a decent number of maps in the base game. You can download more from their modding workshop. Still disappointed that there's no Steam Workshop support, so that reduces the replayability a little bit. The modding community was massive in the first game. It's growing in the second one, but they basically filled in all the gaps where there were any in the first game. And because they're having like a gate-kept community of modders in the second game by not being on the workshop, it really does diminish that. Let's summarize the bottom line here. Skylines 2 iterates in a couple of ways that really do make sense. I love some of the quality of life changes, like how you have a new grid tool for building roads to build city blocks, and when it works pretty well, but it's a little buggy. It doesn't work all the time. And when you build roads, now you can just click and drag through roads and it builds intersections. In the first game, you had to click on each one. I don't know who thought that was a great idea in the first game, but it's good to see that they fixed it in the second one. I also like how they focus on things that actually matter in real life, like how freight's handled, or designing mass transit around where people actually want to go, not just completely random. It's not SimCity 2013 where they teleport. If you haven't thrown stacks of money at Newegg or Micro Center for a fast PC, the performance is really limiting for what you could do. And at this performance level, I can't recommend the game. Just stick with the first one. It runs a lot better than the second one, and hope that the new developer can get this game under control. Maybe they can improve the pathfinding algorithms to reduce CPU demand. I don't know. Skylines 1 is also easy to catch on sale, which, to add insult to injury, it's on sale as I'm recording this. Very cool. And you can get a lot of its content for relatively cheap as well. And it has Steam Workshop support to fill in the gaps where the game hasn't made content available. If you're interested in the game, you could always try it for the Steam 2-hour no questions asked refund policy. But honestly, this type of game is one of those ones where you're going to throw hours at it, so the 2 hours is really not enough to really get an impression. I believe it's still on the Game Pass if you wanted to do that, but Game Pass is kind of expensive too, so I don't know. I wouldn't try it. I would probably skip it and play the first game until maybe the new developer hopefully reins it in. We'll see.